We are Random Respawn, and this is Random Recommendations, showing off games that are remarkable, relaxing, refreshing, radical, or just really, really fun. Hey everyone, Calebyte here. In this episode we're looking at
The Darkest Dungeon,
a turn-based RPG with a Lovecraftian atmosphere and roguelike elements. Seems to be a trend with me. Sorry about that. Oh boy, where do I even begin with this one? This game gives me all the feels, and it's really hard to pin down exactly what it is that drives my ever-growing obsession with it. You have the strategy of a classic turn-based RPG, the exploration and looting of a dungeon crawler, all wrapped up with meticulous party and inventory management and the looming threat of permadeath in a place where everything is conspiring against you. Developed by Red Hook Studios, Darkest Dungeon, after its successful Kickstarter and Steam Early Access, finally released on January 19th, 2016 for $25 on PC, Mac, Linux, and eventually PS4 and PS Vita. And in fact, its first DLC, The Crimson Court, just released in June, so if you haven't played it in a while, you might want to pick it up and check that out. On startup, you're greeted with a text box, and the first line reads, "Darkest Dungeon is about making the best of a bad situation." You don't truly understand how appropriate that description is until you get started. This is unlike any other game I've played. You aren't trying to keep your crew healthy and tip-top so much as you are trying to keep them not dead. You manage your party from a, "it's bad, but I think I can make it" perspective, because you're unable to completely avoid misfortune. You have to be smart and practical about which party members to cut because they're too costly to keep, and embrace the fact that in this story, you aren't controlling the main characters, but rather the cannon fodder. This is no place for sentimental attachment. The best tip I can give to any new players is to not look up walkthroughs. There is a lot to take in, and a good portion of the experience is lost if you don't learn at least some of it firsthand. Once you begin to wrap your head around the mechanics, there are lots of great resources out there to help you refine your strategy, but I highly encourage you to at least go into the boss encounters without looking anything up. As far as the mechanics of the dungeon crawling, positioning and composition of your team are critical. Each character's skill has a specific range of targets it can hit, provided that that character is in the correct spot in your lineup. The positions are noted as 4, 3, 2, and 1. A healer in position 4 or 3 is generally better than position 1 because they'll take less damage and usually have more skills available to use. Once you begin to understand the strengths, weaknesses, and attack patterns of your enemies, it all kind of starts to make sense. The UI that might initially look like a cluttered mess is actually brilliantly laid out to tell you exactly what you need to know to properly plan out the fight and learn for the future. That said, Darkest Dungeon is not a game to be taken lightly, and any complacency will be harshly punished. One seemingly small choice can quickly spiral into a heart-wrenching and utterly crushing defeat. We're fine. No, we're not. Oh god. Oh. Oh Jesus. No. The stupid guy had to go first. Oh god. Typically, I'm not one who enjoys games of this style. In fact, I've known about Darkest Dungeon since its release, but I always thought it wasn't for me. I'm very averse to games where permanently losing a member of my group is an option, even though I do like roguelikes. But something about the design is so addictive I can't get enough. Every dungeon is a puzzle, and your crew are the tools you use to solve it. I think of them more like weapons with durability than characters. Each character class is a collection of skills, and the challenge before you even start the dungeon is building a team who will synergize well enough to tackle the dangers you'll face. Next, you decide what to bring on your journey. You can over-provision to be more prepared but have less room for loot, or take some risks and be able to carry more rewards. While exploring, your light meter is also a built-in difficulty slider. You can maintain high light to make combat and stress slightly more manageable, but get fewer riches, or you can let the light dwindle to get loot and crit bonuses, but be generally more susceptible to things that go bump in the night. Each area has its own set of unique enemies and interactables to learn and plan for, and there are tons of party configurations that can work. There is no one group to rule them all. You can come up with some very interesting and fun combinations. Accounting for the threats you'll face and managing the bad things that happen is extremely satisfying, especially when you know that even a group of stupid little maggots can kill you if you aren't careful. Even though you're expected to suffer great loss, and it does feel really terrible when you have to retreat for dear life or when you try to push one fight too far and lose your whole party, there is one final piece of this masterful work that really sells it for me. You can't lose. On the first two difficulties, Radiant and Darkness, there are no extra conditions on winning. You can take as long as you like and lose as many party members as you can recruit, but the town upgrades are permanent for that save file and they really help you recover and press on. Your run is never truly over until you want it to be. Now, on the hardest difficulty that changes some, but I think extending that little carrot of extra challenge is also a brilliant design choice, and I'm really excited to give it a shot. As I said, the atmosphere is Lovecraftian. You never know what tentacled terror drawn in this captivating gothic style you'll encounter next. The music sets the mood and induces even more stress on you as your light begins to fade. It's unnervingly enjoyable. Top it all off with incredible voice work, and you have a supremely satisfying audiovisual experience as you combat the horrors.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
The Crimson Court DLC introduces even more chaos and some really awesome mechanics. You have huge dungeons that are uncovered gradually and filled with new enemies, bosses, treasures, and even a new character class. There are also new events that'll interact with the main progression to mix things up a bit and keep you on your toes. It's truly an amazing addition to the base game. I don't really know what else I can say without getting too specific and spoiling some of what I believe is the best part of coming in the game fresh. I really encourage you to give this one a try if you're up for the challenge. It is a glorious struggle against the madness. Thanks for tuning in to this installment of Random Recommendations. If you've played any of the games I've covered in the series, I'm really interested in hearing about your experience. If you'd like to make a suggestion for a future episode, leave a comment below, hit us up on Twitter @randomrespawn, or come chat with me during a live stream. Whatever the method, I look forward to hearing from you. Take care, Calebyte out. Shit.